Hi there. In this video, we're going to look into SUI with its impressive movement right now, seemingly going into a sign of strength. As usual, we'll cover where the bulls and bears are battling around, whether there are any traps to trap us, as well as any whales movement and footprint. These are education content only, not financial advice. Let's go into the daily chart of SUI. So, let's take a look. This massive move that's going on. Remember, we said, okay, by 5th of May, all right, right after our last week's session, we said it is getting into a decision point for SUI. So either it continues with the downtrend that's decided by the orange channel box over here, or it continues with the uptrend that just started, at the very end of April. And the decision came in on the 5th, Tuesday, okay? The very first move, and then continue with impressive volume so far, especially today, okay? That's very key. Reason being, even though the volume yesterday and Wednesday were high, we see the long wicks, okay? Long wick over here, long wick over here. When they were trying to pass through these two key levels, 0.99, the purple key level, and the red 1.08, you see the rejection, the bears striking back down. However, today, we don't see a wick, and it is even higher volume, so that's a very positive sign. Unless in the remaining 7 hours, especially when Asia wakes up, that's going to push the price back close to the red key level. Otherwise, the probability of SUI showing us a sign of strength, sustaining this move, is getting higher and higher. Of course, the very first barrier is 1.35, which is a pretty strong resistance. Not only because you can see the spots over here. If we get to the bigger picture, all right, you see that's exactly where the panic overstage happened. So breaking this level means that it has to close above that orange line. Remember, okay? If it only spikes up and then returns, appearing as a wick, that's a different story. So if it spikes through this, what we want to see is the sign of strength that we have been talking for months. It has to come to challenge at least the 1.82, this light blue key level. Okay? And eventually, best if it can go past the 1.93. So that's where the automatic rally ended up around. So that's what we want to see, because that's a proof or a sign that money is coming back to SUI. All right, that's getting us into the mid-late stage of accumulation. And usually, after a sign of strength, there may be a little bit of price retracement. Sometimes it goes deeper, sometimes it ends in somewhere in the middle between the top and the previous low. And then eventually it will launch to the next distribution cycle. Okay, given the macro environment, wars, economy, credit crisis, resources crisis because of the wars, these kind of movements and then the track back may be fierce, okay? Because of the news, the whales are going to use the news to shake everybody out before they let the price shoot up. So if the midterm election of the US is the time frame, okay, when all the dust and sand settle, before that, okay, around September, October time, that may be the time for this kind of move. Okay, that's having the assumption, or based on the assumption that those bad things got settled by then. If those doesn't, then we would have a prolonged accumulation period that may be even longer than the 2022 to 24 cycle, right? So remember, we have a weekly write-up at Asset Lens on Substack. Go check it out and see you in the next video. Thank you.